Hello friends, good morning and we welcome you to this new class again. And as we said yesterday, we shall study a new topic today, a new topic that is Appellate system. We had just mentioned in the last class what is Appellate system. Appellate means going to appeal in the high court or higher court, that is called Appellate system. So we said we will study a case that happened many years ago, how this Appellate system helped the people to get justice and so on. So you can take your textbook page number 58, the second paragraph. There a case is mentioned or explained how this Appellate system helped the people to get justice. So let us understand what we mean by the Appellate system. By tracking a case, State versus Lakshman Kumar and others. So it happened in 1985. So some 35 years ago it happened, and the case is known as State versus the Lakshman Kumar and others. So the state means the state is standing for a person who is asking for justice. So here a person who is suffering and the state is responsible for that. So it is a duty of the state to provide protection for everyone, provide justice for everyone. So when you are affected or somebody is attacking you and you go and file a case in the court against the enemy, it is the state that is fighting for you. It is the state that is putting case for you, because it is a duty of the state to provide protection for you. So your name will not be there in the case, but it will be written case against state versus then the person to whom against whom you are fighting the case. So here the affected person is represented by state. So state versus Lakshman Kumar. And others. So there are Lakshman Kumar is the main person, the culprit who committed the mistake, the crime, and with him there are others also. So the person who is affected, their name is not mentioned, but they are represented by the state, because it is the duty, the responsibility of the state to provide justice for the people. And they started from the lower court. First they went to the lower court, and then finally they had to go up to Supreme Court to get the justice. So let's see how they proceeded. So in February 1980, so it happened in 1980, February 1980 it happened that Lakshman Kumar married 20-year-old Sudha Goyal. So this person, he is the main culprit in this story, and he married a girl who was 20-year-old and her name was Sudha Goyal. So the person who is complaining or person who is affected is, her name is Sudha Goyal. So instead of her, the state is standing for her. State is fighting for her. So the state government. And so they live in a flat in Delhi. So it happened in Delhi, and they are living in Delhi in a flat, a big house, with the Lakshman's brothers and their families. So in that family, Lakshman is her husband, and other family members are there, mother, his brothers, and so on. Then On 2nd December 1980, so in the beginning February they married, and towards the end of the year in December 2nd, Sudha died in hospital due to burn injuries. So did not even complete 1 year after their marriage, and she died in the hospital. That means there was fire and she got burned, and they took her to hospital and she died in the hospital. So the burn was too severe, too strong, and she could not survive. Doctors could not save her. She died in the hospital. So that is the case. And her family filed a case. So Sudha's family, her parents, filed a case in the court. And when the case was heard in the trial court is another name for lower court. We said the 3 levels are there. The lowest level is trial court. So first they did not go to high court and supreme court. They went to the lower court. They went to a court called trial court. And the trial court heard her case. Their case was heard nicely by the trial court, and 4 of her neighbors were called as witnesses. So the court called 4 people living near them, their neighbors. So they called them. Tell us, what do you know about this case? Can you tell how Sudha died? So 4 people called, and they were able to give what they saw. And they stated that on the night of December 1, so she died in December 2, and at the previous night, that is December 1, they had heard Sudha scream and had forced their way into Lakshman's flat. So these 4 people who came to the court to say about what they had seen, they said they heard at night Sudha is screaming. Screaming means crying loud with great pain, because her body is burning with fire, and so she was crying, screaming. And so they came rushing. They forced their way. They forced and entered into the house of Lakshman. And there they saw Sudha standing with her sari in flames. So Sudha was wearing sari, and her sari was in flame, in fire. That means her dress was burning. So that is what they saw. And they extinguished the fire by wrapping Sudha in a gunny bag and a blanket. So these 4 people came running, and they put off the fire by covering her with bag and blanket and so on. So that is how we have to put off the fire. If you see the fire is spreading, maybe in the house, or somebody getting accident by burning, and so we have to take some cloth or sack or something and cover tightly, then the fire will go off. So these people knew what to do, how to do, and so they came and put off the fire by covering her with blanket. Then there Sudha told them, so Sudha did not die, they put off the fire, and Sudha told these 4 people that her mother-in-law Shakuntala, so mother-in-law means the mother of husband, her name is Shakuntala. So Shakuntala had poured kerosene oil on her. So Sudha, she died the following day, but before dying she told her mother-in-law, that means her husband's mother, poured oil, kerosene oil on her body, and her husband Lakshman had lit the fire. So mother poured kerosene oil on her, and her husband was putting fire on her. So both mother-in-law and her husband together killed her. And during the trial, members of Sudha's family and neighbors stated that Sudha had been subject to a torture by her in-laws, and that they were demanding more cash, a scooter, and a fridge on the birth of the first child. So the people who are nearby, the neighbors, that means those witnesses, and also Sudha's own parents. They said their daughter was not having a peaceful life in the house of Lakshman, and always they were demanding her to go home and bring more money. Especially when her first child was born, they were demanding that she should go home and bring more money, and she should bring more things like a scooter, need a two-wheeler, scooty, and also bring a fridge, refrigerator. So they were demanding more and more, and maybe her family was poor, not able to give, and so they were persecuting her, or even willing to kill her, burn her to death alive. So much cruel were her husband Lakshman Kumar and his mother going to kill the son's wife in order to get more money. So they gave all these things to the court. Then, as part of their defense, so Lakshman and his party is trying to defend what others are telling is wrong. We did not pour kerosene, we did not burn her, and so on. So Lakshman and his mother stated that Sudha's sari had accidentally caught fire while she was heating milk. So they said, no, we did not put kerosene on her, we did not burn her. She was boiling milk, and by mistake her sari touched the fire and she got fire. So that is what they were trying to explain to the court, that we did not do any harm, we did not disturb her, we did not try to kill her. It happened by mistake, by accident, by herself. While boiling the milk, she got fire. That is what they were trying to explain in the trial court. And on the basis of this and other evidence, the trial court convicted Lakshman. So the court listened to the case of Sudha's party and Lakshman's party, and at the end the court understood that Lakshman had made mistake, or he had tried to kill her. So the lawyer convicted them. Convicted means made them guilty. You are guilty. You have to take punishment. And what was the punishment? So Lakshman and his mother Sakuntala and his brother-in-law Subhash Chandra, and sentenced all three of them to death. So Lakshman, his mother Sakuntala, and his brother-in-law, that means his sister's wife, sister's husband, Lakshman Kumar's sister's husband, his name is Subhash Chandra. So all the three of them court said, you will get punishment. What is punishment? Capital punishment. That means they will be put to death. So that is the verdict given by the trial court. All the three of them are responsible for the death of Sudha Goyal, and they will be put to death. That was the result or judgment given by the trial court. So in November 1983, the three accused went to the High Court. So as per the trial court, three of them will be put to death. So they are not happy with this judgment of the High Court, lower court. And so they went to High Court. We will appeal again. That is the Appellate system. They are able to appeal to the higher court. So they went to High Court to appeal against the verdict of the trial court. So trial court said three of them will be put to death, and so they are not happy, and they went to the High Court. The High Court, after hearing the arguments of all the lawyers, so High Court also will have the same procedure. So Sudha's party will be arguing, will be saying that their daughter was persecuted, they demanding to bring more money, more scooter, fridge, and so on, and they were to kill her by pouring kerosene and so on. But Lakshman and party will say, no, we did not try to kill her, she got fired by accident when working in the kitchen boiling milk and so on. So all these cases the same procedure will go on in the High Court as well. Then after hearing these arguments, the High Court decided that Sudha had died due to accidental fire caused by kerosene stove. Lakshman, Shakuntala and Subhash Chandra were acquitted. So High Court verdict is completely different. So the lower court said these three, Lakshman Kumar, his mother and his brother-in-law are responsible for killing Sudha. But High Court said no, nobody killed her. She died by accident. She was boiling milk and from the stove, kerosene stove they were using, and she got fired by mistake, by accident. So nobody is responsible for her death. She alone is, it is her own mistake. She died by accident. So court said all three of you can go free. You don't need to get any punishment. You are free to go. So first, lower court gave verdict in favor of Sudha's party. The High Court gave verdict for Lakshman Kumar's party. Now Lakshman Kumar will be happy because they are free. Court says no, you have not done any mistake. So what happened now? So you may remember the photo essay on the women's movement in class 7 book. So now we go back to class 7. There you remember what you studied. The photo movement of women's group across the country spoke about dowry death. So in our country there are many women are killed or they are made to die because the husband's family is not happy with the dowry that they are bringing. What is dowry? At the time of marriage, the girl's family has to give certain amount to boy's family. That is called dowry. So here it may be opposite, isn't it? The boy's family has to give money or mithun or animal to boy's family, isn't it? But in other parts of India it is just the opposite. If the girl wants to get married, then she has to pay a certain amount to the boy's family. That is called dowry. So actually in India dowry is banned, but currently it is going on. The authorities are just closing their eyes. They pretend to be not aware about such things and so on. So such things, protests were going on in our country because many women are put to death by husband's family. So they protested against the failure of the courts to bring these cases to justice. So the women throughout the country, they were protesting that many women are killed for dowry and the courts are not giving justice. Example, this case itself, the High Court said you are not killed anybody, you can go free. So that is, the people were protesting. So the above High Court judgment deeply troubled women, and they held demonstrations and filed a separate appeal against this High Court decision in the Supreme Court through the Indian Federation of Women Lawyers. So when the women in the country, not just the family of Sudha, but when other women, lawyers and leaders heard about this verdict of the High Court that the husband, mother-in-law and brother-in-law can go free, the women were very unhappy. They felt that there is no justice. A woman is killed and the culprits are let go. They are made free. So they took initiative. The women in the country, especially the lawyers, their society, their organization took a chance. They said, we will go to Supreme Court. We will complain in the Supreme Court. So all the women lawyers, they went to Supreme Court and they filed a case in the Supreme Court against the verdict of the High Court. So in 1985, so after few years, the Supreme Court heard the case. The Supreme Court heard this appeal against the acquittal of Lakshman and 2 members of his family. The Supreme Court heard the arguments of the lawyers and reached the division that was different from that of the High Court. So again the same process will be done in the Supreme Court. They will hear the cases of both party, arguments of both party, and then Supreme Court will take a decision. So here Supreme Court is taking a decision that was different from that of the High Court. So High Court said they are free, they can go, they have not done any mistake. But Supreme Court took another decision. Let us see what is the decision Supreme Court took. They found that Lakshman and his mother guilty but acquitted the brother-in-law Subhash because they did not have enough evidence against him. So according to the Supreme Court said two people are responsible for the death of Sudha, that is the husband and husband's mother, the mother-in-law. But third person, the brother-in-law, they acquitted. Acquitted means let go free. So because they did not have any evidence that Subhash also was responsible for the death of Sudha, so they have no much evidence. So they said, okay, you can go free. But these two are guilty. Lakshman Kumar and his mother are guilty and they will get punishment. So the Supreme Court decided to send the accused to prison for life. So what punishment the Supreme Court gave? Supreme Court convicted them for life imprisonment. They have to stay in the jail for life. No, for life imprisonment means not till they die, but certain years are there. Sometimes it may be 12 years, sometimes it is 20 years. So the court will make it clear. So they have to stay in the jail for 12 years. That is life imprisonment. So we see different courts are giving different verdicts. First, the lower court said 3 of them are guilty and they should be given capital punishment. That means they will be put to death, hanging. Then they went to High Court. High Court said no, all of them are free to go. They are not done any mistake. So just opposite of lower court, the High Court is verdict. Then finally Supreme Court is giving the verdict. Supreme Court said the third person there is no evidence, so he can go free. But other two, they have done this mistake, they have poured kerosene and burned her and therefore they are responsible and so they have to get the punishment. And Supreme Court did not give them capital punishment, they gave them life imprisonment. They have to stay in the jail for 12 years or so. That was the punishment given by Supreme Court. So that way Sudha's family got justice, we can say. The Supreme Court finally gave the correct verdict and the culprits, those who are responsible for the death of Sudha Goel, they are punished by putting in the jail. So that is an example of appellate system. Suppose they had not gone for appeal to High Court, then those 3 would have been put to death. They would have got capital punishment. But the accused party, they went to High Court and they got a favorable verdict for them, court saying you can all go free, you have not done any mistake. The death was by mistake. But then the other party was not happy now. They went to Supreme Court and the Supreme Court gave again another verdict saying that 2 of them are responsible for the death of Sudha. 2 of them are responsible and therefore they don't have to get capital punishment, but they should get a life imprisonment. That was the punishment given to them by the court. And so with that it is over. Now nobody can appeal because the highest court has given the verdict and that is the final. There is no more higher court than the Supreme Court. Therefore, that became the final verdict, final judgment from the court side. And that way, the affected party, they are happy. Justice is done. Their daughter is killed by husband and mother-in-law, and they are punished. And so, the justice is given. So every citizen in our country can follow the same procedure. When they have some grievances, some problems, they can go to the lower court and the lower court will give the verdict. If it is not happy, if they are not happy, go to High Court. If High Court verdict is not good for them, then go to Supreme Court and so on. So remember, at all these stages it takes long process. So the Sudha died in which year? In 1980. She died in 1980. But finally when the verdict came out from Supreme Court, it was 1985. So 5 years it took the case from lower court, High Court, Supreme Court and so on. So they might have spent a lot of money. They have to pay to the lawyer their fees and the court expenses are there. Every time they have to go up and down, whenever the court calls they have to go. So a lot of expenses are also there. So because of that, most of people prefer to have out of court settlement. Not if the cases are not very serious case, they try to come together, discuss together and try to settle the issue. That is also possible. But if it is not possible, we have to go to the court and get the verdict from the court. So that is the appellate system. So we shall wind up for today. In the next class we shall study about again the different branches of our legal system. We said we have different courts are there, and also there are different laws are there in our country accordingly, and the justice system also is different. For different cases, different justice, different punishments will be there. We shall see that on in the next class. So thank you for listening. Have a nice day.